Okay, thanks. Oh, that seemed to work better. How about now? Can people hear me okay? Now we hear you. Great. Thanks, Shari. And thanks, Alessandro, for being here to help us out with all the MeTecho side of things. Um, a lot of great improvements to the tool. I had a chance to test drive some of them. I think it's going to work really well for us, but sometimes takes a little getting used to. Also want to recognize and say thanks to Barry, my co-chair. He's on here too, I see. And to the rest of you, there's still a number of people joining in, so I'm going to take just a couple minutes and probably start at 5 past the hour on the actual material. We will be using the queue to kind of control who's speaking. You can put yourself in the queue if you have something you want to say, and then I'll invite you to unmute your mic. And if you're up for it, you can send your video. That can be helpful as well. We don't have any other presentations planned other than the one I'll be showing, which won't take it won't take the whole time. Certainly won't take 2 hours. I don't think it'll even take it'll take less than half an hour. So most of the time will be for Q&A. You can jump in with questions at any point, though. You don't have to wait till the end for questions, but we'll certainly have a lot of time for questions at the end, and to help people get set up. And one of the things we'll do as well as we have a large number of projects, more than 20 projects, and a lot of the champions for the various projects are here. And then if any of them have anything they want to say, or if any of you are just want to be able to ask some quick clarifying questions about a specific project, we can do that as well. And I see it's 5 after, and so in the interest of time, whether you're getting up early for this or staying up late, we'll get started. As you can see, it is being recorded, and that'll be available for everyone. So again, welcome to the hackathon. As you can see, it's starting now, and it'll be running all week, as has become our kind of new format when we switched to running as a virtual or online only hackathon. So what you see here, this is your welcome to the hackathon. This was actually the last time we were physically in Prague. It also happened to be our largest hackathon in terms of overall participation. I think we had about 400 people that eventually crammed into this room and to the room outside. In some ways, you'll be more comfortable at this one in the comforts of your own home. It's going to look a little bit more like this. We'll have the gather space. If you haven't tried that out yet, I invite you to give it a try. We'll talk about a little bit more how to use it. My understanding is there may be a password added to that, and a kind of fun password, not in Prague. It doesn't seem to be in effect yet, but that's something that may go into effect during the course of this week or next week. So if you're prompted for a password, this should work. When I tried last night and this morning, there still wasn't a password needed. But anyways, I put it in there just in case. Also forgot to mention, I have my my T-shirt from the first time we were in Prague, which was with the hackathon in Prague. That was 6 years ago at IETF 93. And that was the one where that was an important hackathon, because I think that's where it was the second hackathon, and that's where we really saw the IETF as a community kind of rallying behind this idea of having a dedicated time and space to come together and work on code and things related to code, or things work on code related to IETF standards. And so whether we're meeting in person or we're meeting like this in more of an online space, the goals are still the same, right? We're really coming together to advance the pace and relevance of the work that we're doing in the IETF. So there's a lot of great work that goes on around the specifications, and that's how most people know us, is by the RFCs that come out. But it's really great if we can actually work together on some code related to that. whether it be testing out new ideas for protocols that are still in development, or writing an implementation of an existing RFC and getting interoperability to work better, or just making it easier for people to make use of all the great protocols that we have defined. So that's all great stuff, and really helps the work of the IETF not only complete sooner, but with higher quality, and to be put into practice more quickly and more effectively. We also really look to attract, I'd say, a whole different set of people who might typically be attracted to collaborating on standards. When you think of standards people, you typically think of documents, and in the IETF, whether it be GitHub or email, we're focusing on the text that's in those documents and the ideas. But as we all know, it's very important, if we want the standards to be developed and used, that we interact with developers. And so we're really trying to reach out more to that developer set, and to just bring new people who maybe have great development skills and are very passionate about the internet and using it and making it work better, or security, or whatever their passion is, to get them interested in the IETF and to realize, hey, there's interesting work going on, and ways for them to contribute that maybe are a little bit more to their liking. And so hopefully we do that as well. This is also a great way to match up new people to the IETF with people who have been working on IETF standards for a number of years. And that's one of the big pluses, I would say, and goals of the hackathon. So in addition to working on your code, be sure to interact with people, whether that be in the gather space or other things that get set up for your team to work together. As with everything in the IETF, we operate under the note well. Now, usually in the IETF, a lot of the work is around the drafts and the presentations at an IETF meeting. Here it's mostly around the code, but we still have some presentations. And so, for example, when you do your presentation at the end, we'll talk about how you can share your results and what you did. That all falls under the note well. So if you're not familiar with the note well, have a look at it. It'll help you with the hackathon and know what you're agreeing to. It'll also help you next week when hopefully you stick around for the IETF meeting. For the code itself, as you might expect, really what governs the code you're working on is the license associated with it. In this example, I'm showing it's the Apache 2.0 license. So the code that you're working on is not, unless it explicitly states that it is, it's not an IETF contribution, it's not IETF code. The rules governing it are those of the project you're working on and the license related to that code. Okay, now to the more fun and exciting stuff, the projects. So all of the projects are hopefully up on the wiki now. I see a few got added over the last few days. So if you took a look early last week, you may want to take another quick look, because a number of new projects are there. There's more than 20 there. And so if you haven't already figured it out, that's a good first place to go. Take a quick look at what's there, see what's of interest to you. You can see all the champions have identified themselves and a way to contact them. So even if they're not on this call right now, you can reach out to them via whatever mechanism they provided on the wiki. And if you have a hard time connecting with anyone, you can always reach out to me. I'll try to help. But also we have this page, this wiki page, Lost and Found. And when I made this slide, at least, no one had entered anything there yet. But the idea is, throughout the course of this week, if you have some things you want to work on, but they don't seem to line up really well with any of the projects, you can add yourself to the skills to offer. And similarly, if you're championing a project or working on a project and you guys really need someone with some specific, skill, say to code something up or write the front end for a web app or the back end or whatever, you can put that here. So that's just a good way to help people connect. Okay, so you're all here for the kickoff, which you can see we do have the 2 hours. And as I mentioned, I don't expect us to need all of that. As soon as this is over, though, all the teams are free to go and work on their projects on their own time schedule. And the reason we've done this is because of time zones and just the fact that it's hard to get people to meet when you're all over the world at different places, different things going on. We figure, okay, we'll have the whole week. And so teams are free to meet, for blocks of time every single day or just on certain days. But the best way to see when a team is meeting and for a team to advertise when they're meeting is to put on the team schedule. And I'm showing that wiki page here. The team champions, I highly recommend, if you haven't yet, to go and add some information there. I put some for the chairs. I see the quick team, put how to get in contact with them. And then you can take it from there, right, as to how the team's going to work. And you can update this during the course of the week to add new times and new ways to meet. Then on Friday, at the end of this week, at basically the same time as the kickoff, that's when we'll be having the closing. Now for this one, I expect it will take close to the full 2 hours of time, but that really depends on how many teams present their results. And we'll talk later on about how the results presentations work, but really the whole idea of the closing is to come together, now the week's done, and for people to show, hey, this is what we got, this is what we accomplished. And so every team has the opportunity to present. You don't have to present, but it's certainly very helpful. And I'll provide some more information on that in later slides. So at the beginning, I gave you kind of a snapshot of what the entire Gather space looked like. And that's what you're seeing here. When you first come into the space, it actually, it gives you a handy little tutorial about how to use Gather and interact in the space in general. Once you're inside of it, over on the right-hand side in the lower right corner there, that's where the hackathon space actually is. And so you can go on over to there. You can see my tiny little character here about to enter. And as you enter the hackathon space, you actually enter into a dedicated space for the hackathon, where it's a little bit easier to interact with just the people in the hackathon space, if that's what you want to do. An example of that, there's this podium up here, where if we were meeting in person, I'd probably be standing there delivering from this presentation from there. But if I was to go to that podium, I would actually have the ability to communicate with all of you in like a conference setting. I may try that out at some point just to see how well it works. If there's a lot of us there, it'll be interesting to see how well it works. But anyways, that's one example. Now you notice there are many different tables here, and some are labeled to be used for one of the IETF areas, and some just have letters. During the course of this week, really the main focus of this entire space is to serve the hackathon. So, you're welcome to use one of the lettered tables, but you can also use one of the other tables that's for one of the areas. That's perfectly fine as well. You can see there's these sort of more informal areas. When you enter into one of these, basically anyone who enters into one of these tables and takes a seat, or anyone who goes into one of these lounge little couch areas will be able to be in sort of a video conference with the other people who are also there. So it just helps people to collaborate in a virtual environment. And so I recommend that you test that out. One of the really cool things is you'll notice on most of the tables, if not all of them, they have either one of these notepads, which is you can go up to it and interact with it by pressing X, and then it pops up a CodeMD like shared document that everyone who's at that table, or anyone who comes up and interacts with it can use. So that's a handy way for your team to like share notes and those types of things. Other tables have a whiteboard, And then it's more of an interactive whiteboard where you can draw things out or do whatever you want to do. So both mechanisms are there. You may want to choose your table depending on which one you think you'd be more likely to use. Those came in real handy at the last hackathon, and I'm sure they will at this one as well. Other than that, there's a complete guide that's been put out for all IETF 110 participants. And there is a little section there on Gather. I believe it's going to be built out in a bit more detail, but really I think you'll find just a little tutorial at the beginning get you up to speed pretty quickly. It's not that complex a tool. And other than that, just go and experiment a little bit. I think you'll find it pretty intuitive and easy to use, and hopefully a great way to collaborate during the course of this week and next week for the IETF meeting. Okay, one bit of bad news for those of you who didn't know this. One of the cool things we've been able to do in the past is provide a way to connect in to the IETF network remotely. And that helped if you wanted to work on certain technologies that really required that sort of being all connected into the same layer 2 switch, or if you needed some dedicated network requirements. And that's always been provided at sort of as part of an experimental best effort type of thing. We ran into some snags with that this year, or for this hackathon, unfortunately. There's a few of you who got your request in early and were actually able to meet your request, but we had to, we're not accepting any new requests right now, just due to a number of circumstances, including helping out with COVID and the distribution of the vaccine being kind of a priority, where some of the folks who are going to volunteer time don't have time to focus on this. So anyways, it's a great thing. We're not giving up on it. We plan to offer this capability not only for online hackathons like this one, but even for in-person hackathons to help with administering the network and allowing remote participants to work more effectively with their teams. So hopefully this won't be a big problem for those of you who, if you were planning on using it, hopefully you got your request in early and we were able to get you set up. Otherwise, if you haven't been set up yet, my apologies. Okay, project presentation. So I mentioned this. We do these at the end of the hackathon during that closing session, which is on Friday at the same time as this kickoff. And the idea there is to recap. Here's what our team was trying to solve, and here's what we achieved, and here are the things we learned along the way. These are very short presentations, and so the goal is not to dive into the full extent, the full deep dive into it. It's think about your audience, that it's a technical audience, but maybe not an audience that is familiar with your exact project or the working group drafts that you're related to what you're doing. So they have a good grasp of IETF technology overall, but maybe not your specific area. We really want to know like what did you learn? What did you achieve? What are you going to feed back into your working group? Did you find out that the working group drafts are right on target? Or did you find some problems or some things missing or some things that you think should be changed? Those types of things are handy to know. We're also very interested in, as I mentioned at the beginning, kind of branching out the IETF community and interacting with new people, with new communities. So if you're working on an open source project that's maybe housed outside of the IETF, or you're working on something related to another SDO, perhaps some Yang models that, while the IETF defined the Yang models, you're working, defined the Yang language, and NetConf and RESTConf, perhaps the Yang models themselves are being defined in another SDO, and you're working on that. These are just all examples that I think are interesting for us to know, so we can see how our community is expanded beyond just what we would typically think of at an IETF meeting. Based on the number of people who want to present their projects, we'll decide how long they can be. But my guess is, as a good rule of thumb, and this is what happened to the last two IETFs, we were able to allow 5-minute presentations. And we will be pretty strict. In fact, there's some new tools in MeetEcho to help us to be strict, where we can set a timer, and we'll make sure that we keep to time so that everyone gets a chance to present. And you're basically presenting within MeetEcho, much like I am now, sharing your presentation. The way we facilitate that is using the IETF Hackathon GitHub organization. If you haven't seen this already, it's a place where, well, for one, it's where we keep all of our presentations related to the hackathon. So you'll see a project for IETF 109, there's one for IETF 110. That's where this kickoff presentation exists. So if you want to download it, you can. It's also where a lot of the hackathon projects exist. You can see this one here exists there. So you don't have to put your projects here, but it is kind of a handy way if you don't already have a home somewhere else. We're very happy to create a repo here for you to house the code for your project. So if you want that, let me know, reach out to me, and I will create a new repo for you. But for everyone who plans to present at the end of the hackathon, or even if you don't want to present, but you just want to capture your results for everyone else to see, which I highly recommend that you capture the results regardless of whether anyone's available to present on Friday. The idea is that you would upload those presentations into the IETF 110 project presentations. So if you go into that repo and you go to the README, that's what I'm showing here. There's some instructions about that. The important thing that I want to point out right now is in order to make this just work a little bit easier, what I'd like to do is give everyone the ability to commit directly into this repo. And in order for that to happen, you basically need to be a member of the IETF Hackathon GitHub org. So if you've been added for another IETF Hackathon, you're fine. You don't need to do it again. But if you're not a member, you need to get added. And the way to do that is to send an email to hackathonchairs@ietf.org. But make sure on GitHub that your GitHub account has your name, because that just helps us identify who you are. Because sometimes it's really tough with user IDs, which can be a bit cryptic. And also, please enable two-factor authentication. It's probably a good practice regardless, but it just helps us keep people from hacking into the IETF GitHub. So would appreciate that and actually require that before we will add you in. And the other thing is, if you're planning on presenting, which I hope you do, the sooner you do this, like if you do it today, that's great. Get yourself added if you're not there already. Don't wait till Friday or even Thursday night, because with time zones and other things, things get busy. I may miss something, we may not get you added. So don't wait till the last minute, please. You can upload your presentation pretty late, but get yourself all set up and make sure that you're able to upload it early on. And then like what you can always do with GitHub, you can upload an initial version of your presentation and then upload another one. There's no problem with that. We have a couple templates that you are welcome to use. You don't have to use these. We just make them available, and a lot of people do find it useful for your project presentations. There's one available in PowerPoint format, which is the same, very similar to what we've made available in the past. Thanks to Benson, we also have one in HTML format, which is much lighter weight, kind of more code-like, I would say, and certainly takes up a lot less space in general when you upload them. So you're welcome to use that template. As you can see, we're happy to add more templates. We're happy to have them be improved over time. Both of them are fairly simple. Both of them can probably be better. If you have some suggestions, you can always send us a pull request to make those better too. But anyways, they're there just to help you get started and hopefully put your your project presentation together with like minimal effort on the how to do it, and you can just focus on the important things you gathered or that you learned, which is really the important thing, right? So hopefully you find those useful. Then before I open it up to questions, I want to just say a huge thanks to ICANN. ICANN is a sponsor for the hackathon. Our cost structure is different when we're not meeting in person, but there are still costs associated with this and all the online tools we use, and just very happy that ICANN has been a sponsor in the past of the hackathon and sponsored us again for the IETF 110 hackathon. And if you or your company or someone might be interested in being a sponsor for the hackathon going forward, we'd love to get in touch. You can just send something to the hackathon chair's email address and we'll put you in touch with the right people. And so with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. Happy to get any of those. And after an initial set of questions, then the last thing we'll do is kind of open it up for any project champions that just want to share a bit more information about what they're doing. But I'd like to get any questions first. So if you do have a question, maybe make your way to the mic, to the queue, enter in there, and I'll allow you to, I'll give you the floor. I'm not seeing any questions yet. Maybe that was really clear. Maybe a lot of you have attended the hackathon before. What I'll do then is now, if there are any champions of projects who want to share something about their project, feel free to jump in the queue for that. If there's someone who's just has a question about a specific project, that's fine as well. We'll open it up for any other questions people may have. There is one thing I think I didn't mention, and that was the schedule. I want to show people that. So while we're waiting to see if there's any questions, that's one thing I will show briefly. Let me go back to, okay, it looks like we do have question. Okay. Okay, Paul, go ahead. I see your video. Do we have audio for you? You should be able to enable your audio. Yeah, I don't hear your audio yet. I'll stop sharing the screen. Okay, you should be able to share your audio right now, if I understand correctly. And Alessandro, if I'm doing something wrong and didn't put Paul in the allow him to speak, you can jump in. At least I still don't hear you. Okay, while we're getting that sorted out, let me try this. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. Okay, so this is hopefully you're seeing this. Wow. There we go. Okay, so this is the results presentation page within the wiki. And you can see we have one project already listed here. And I would encourage you with this as well. You don't have to have your presentation ready. This is just the way to say that, yes, you do want to present. And you can find it if you're on the Hackathon wiki and you go down into the meeting materials here. There is a link for results presentation schedule. If you click on that, it'll take you to this page. And anyone can add themselves to this. Anyone can add anything to the wiki. You will need an account, and there's some instructions there on how to set that up. But those are freely available and tied to your data tracker account. So if you are on this presentation now, you should be set up for doing that as well. Yeah, and Paul, sorry we weren't able to get your audio working, but yeah, perhaps if you hadn't granted access. Okay, we'll try again now. It looks like you should be able to send audio and video. We can see your video. No, still not hearing you though. Seems to be some problem with your mic. And Lorenzo asked in the chat whether you see the mic lines moving under your name when you talk. I can see those, for example, on mine. Whenever I speak, there's some little blue lines right underneath my my profile picture, and they kind of go up and down as my voice does. Yeah, and if anyone else has any questions, the Miteco team's working with Paul to get that straightened out. Any questions, any project pitches? This is your big chance to recruit people. Much harder to do, I think, in a virtual environment. At least it's a little bit more challenging than when you're right there in person and someone can just walk up. But you know, we do have the whole week, and that's one good thing. And like I said, if look at the wiki, if you're trying to figure out a project to join, there's the lost and found. Then you can always reach out to me. You can also send something to the Hackathon list, but that's perfectly fine. And then the other thing is go in Gather and see if you find the people there. But once we drop off of this kickoff session, I'll probably go and play around with the Gather space a little bit. It's if you haven't really, well, if you couldn't tell from the slides, or if you haven't been in it yet, it's all redesigned from IETF 109, there's some things that are similar, but it certainly has a lot of new capabilities to it, much like Meetecho, just improving dramatically with lots of new functionality for each IETF meeting, which is great to see. And I'm sure it's going to be really beneficial to us even when we do start meeting in person again, which I hope happens pretty soon. Okay, Niels. Go ahead.
Hi.
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Exciting. We will be working with people from New York State University, with people from UC Berkeley, University of Amsterdam, and also with people from the University of Glasgow on the Big Bang project on quantitative emailing list analysis in the Big Bang project. We already have a pretty nice code base working. We can ingress a lot of email. We also got working with the data tracker, and we're doing a lot of analysis on discussion about standards and their adoption. So if people are interested, feel free to join, especially people working on Python, perhaps people working on visualization. We're also trying to make the tool more accessible to get more people, because we're getting a lot of people asking us how the tool works, and perhaps branching out a bit into knowledge graphs. So if people are interested in that, feel free to join. We will be here all 3 days in a wide range of time zones. So get your coffee brewing, and we are here for you.
Great. Well, thanks. Is there, I don't know if you added anything into the team schedule yet, but in terms of exactly how people should reach out to you, whether that just be with an email, or if you're going to have I don't know, a WebEx session or something, or if you're using Gather, that'd be good to know.
I'll add our Zoom room.
Fantastic. Okay, anyone else? If we don't get any more questions or project kind of announcements, we'll let people go. I'm sure most of you just want to get back to working on your code or other things you need to prepare. Okay, and Niels, you're still in the queue, but I think you're welcome to speak again if you like. Okay. All right. Well, I don't see anyone in the queue. I think we pretty much covered everything. So thanks to all of you for joining. We'll wrap up at this point and be available throughout the week. You can contact me directly and Gather, and Barry as well at the Hackathon chairs list, if you want to just talk to us that way, or via the hackathon at ietf.org list, if you want to reach out to everyone. And then, so there'll probably be some updates during the course of the week. We'll share those via the hackathon list. Other than that, let me go back up and kind of wrap up with just a quick look at our agenda again, just to make sure everyone knows the timing of things, but pretty simple. Working on at your own pace and filling out things in the team schedule, I highly recommend that. And then on Friday at this same time is when we'll come together using Meetecho again to do the presentations. And if you would like to do a presentation, whether you're going to present it live or not, please upload it to the GitHub org that was mentioned here. But if you do want to present live, which I highly encourage someone from the team, it doesn't need to be the project champion, make sure that you get your project, and I see we have one more on there already, in this list. And then we will just present in order that people are on the list. If you have a specific reason why you need to present out of order, let me know. We can rearrange things, or whatever, so we can be kind of flexible. But just so that people know what to expect, we'll kind of plan on going in order. You can plan for 5 minutes per project. If we get more presentations than we can handle, we'll probably reduce that down to say 4 minutes, but I think we should be good. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you joining, and hope you have a great hackathon and really a great 2 weeks at IETF 110. So take care and talk to you again soon.